He stood there barely blinking as if the weight of his own son's death hadn't cracked a single piece of his pride. Not a memory, not a story, not even a pause to honor who Garrison really was, while Janelle could barely hold herself together at the Humane Society, remembering her son's gentle spirit and love for rescue cats. Kody was in Wyoming rambling about signs he used to sell, as if grief was just another storyline he had to play through, and Robyn. When she said it might be a sad day that wasn't just cold, it was chilling. You could feel the room go still. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was loud. It screamed of emotional distance. And I have to ask, how did we get here? How did a man once surrounded by laughter kids and a so-called dream of plural love become this disconnected, this dismissive, this unapologetically self-centered? How did a family of nearly 24 splinter so deeply that children now grieve not just their brother, but a father who's still alive and choosing absence? This isn't just family drama anymore. It's a collapse of character right in front of our eyes. Hey, everyone, welcome to my channel. If you've been watching this family fall apart in real time and you've got thoughts, I need to hear them in the comments. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button, because we're going all the way in on what really happened to Kody Brown, how his ego favoritism and emotional immaturity slowly poisoned every corner of his family. This isn't a love story. This is the wreckage, and it's time we stop pretending otherwise. In the early seasons, Kody was this whirlwind of energy. He'd bounce into frame with that wild mop of curls, cracking jokes, loading kids into the van, talking about love unity, and how plural marriage was all about building something bigger than yourself. He called it a principle. He sold us the dream. One big family, one father, 4 wives, and a house full of kids who would all grow up wrapped in community and faith. And for a while, it looked like maybe, just maybe that could work. He talked about fairness, like it was his mission. He insisted on rotating time, equally trying to make each wife feel seen. He'd sit the kids down for big talks, plan activities to bring everyone together, even when it was messy. There was effort. You could feel the intention, even if the execution was flawed. But now that version of Kody feels like a stranger. Fast forward to the most recent seasons, and it's like we're watching someone who's just given up. The spark is gone, replaced with this blank, defensive, detached shell of a man. He walks into scenes like he's above. It all speaks like everyone else is the problem, and has a way of weaponizing silence that cuts deeper than any outburst ever could. His title as dad feels more ceremonial than sincere. It's like he wears it for the cameras, but not for the kids. And those kids, they've noticed we've seen it. Gabe, Garrison, even Savannah. They don't just look hurt. They look done. Trying, done. Hoping, done. Pretending like this man is still showing up for them. The most heartbreaking part is the way he talks about them now. He's called his sons narcissists, accused them of being disrespectful, of undermining him, of being disloyal. He once reduced them to nothing more than gossip and liars. And then there was that moment. Yes, that moment when he actually referred to their anatomy as pencils. That wasn't just tone deaf, that was cruel. You hear him say things like, "They're just jealous," or "They've poisoned each other against me." And you realize this man isn't trying to rebuild anything. He's just trying to protect his ego, and somewhere along the line, being father turned into being offended. This isn't parenting anymore. It's posturing. The fallout between Kody and his children has become one of the most gut-wrenching and undeniable fractures in sister wives. We're not talking about petty arguments or teenage rebellion. We're talking about real, emotional damage. Deep cuts that haven't just fractured the bond between father and child, but burned it to ash. Let's start with Garrison. This wasn't just some background kid. He was loved. He was funny. He had dreams. And he worked hard to build his own life, a house, a stable job, even serving in the National Guard. But he also struggled with something far more invisible: rejection. Garrison tried more than once to reach his father emotionally. He wanted connection guidance, some sign that he mattered. But what did he get in return? Distance, silence, accusations in the seasons leading up to his tragic death. Kody barely acknowledged his existence, unless it was to criticize him, painting him as insubordinate, disloyal, and bitter. He called him jealous of what exactly of a father who refused to show up. And then there's Gabe, the sweet, sensitive kid who wore his heart on his sleeve. We all remember the heartbreaking scene when Gabe recounted trying to call his dad on his birthday during only for Kody to brush him off. No happy birthday, no warmth, just cold words and an immediate hang-up that wasn't just a missed phone call, that was a milestone in their relationship. Gabe cried in that interview he couldn't even speak, and still, Kody didn't seem moved instead of reflection. We got defensiveness. Savannah, the youngest of Janelle's kids, has said less, but her silence says it all. She hasn't spoken to her dad in over a year, and he knew it. He admitted it on camera and shrugged. This isn't an estranged uncle, this is her father, and yet he let time keep slipping by as if it was someone else's job to bridge the gap, as if he wasn't the adult, as if heartbreak was something a child should have to process alone. And Maddie. She's spoken her truth loud and clear on social media. She's the one who sees the bigger picture, the pattern she's called out: favoritism, the unfair treatment her brothers received, and the hypocrisy that's been allowed to flourish when the family split. Maddie didn't mince words. She knew exactly who was choosing to show up and who wasn't. All of this came to a head during the memorial episode for Garrison, while Janelle, Christine, and the rest of the family were sitting in real grief, eyes swollen, voices cracking, sharing stories about who Garrison was. Kody and Robyn were off in Wyoming at an amusement town on vacation, riding stagecoaches, talking about signs they used to sell. There wasn't a single moment of remembrance, no mention of Garrison, no pause for the weight of what the family was enduring. Robyn said, "It might be a sad day, that's all. No, I'm sad, no shared memories, no connection, just distance, detachment. And it wasn't because they didn't have the chance. They had camera crews, time, space, they just didn't use it. And Kody, when he did finally sit down to talk about Garrison, he couldn't help but make it about himself. I held him first," he said with tears in his eyes. And yes, grief shows up differently for everyone, but when every sentence starts with I, and none of them start with he was, or I miss, or I should have, it stops being about loss. It starts being about ego. While the rest of the family mourned a son, a brother, a friend, Kody mourned his image, the idea of himself as a father, not the reality. And that's the part that hurts the most. If Kody's fall from grace has been loud and painful, Robyn's role in all of it has been just as haunting, only much quieter, more calculated, and frankly more damaging than many people want to admit. Robyn has spent years building a very specific narrative around herself, the soft-spoken one, the misunderstood wife, the woman who only ever wanted peace. But when you strip back the carefully placed tears and the shaky voice she's mastered on command, what's left is someone who has repeatedly distanced herself from the rest of the family, especially the kids that weren't biologically hers. Her emotional manipulation isn't dramatic or explosive. It's subtle. It's in how she frames every situation to make herself the victim, even when the facts say otherwise. For years, Robyn has cried about her children being treated differently by the other wives, about how hard it is to be accepted. But now, looking at how detached and emotionally absent she is when it comes to Kody's other children, especially after Garrison's death, it's clear that the exclusion didn't just happen to her. She created it too in the most painful moments, like in the episodes surrounding Garrison's passing. Robyn didn't seem grief-stricken. She seemed inconvenienced. Her comments were cold, almost robotic. She referred to the day of his burial as a sad day. "Not my heart is broken, or I can't believe we lost him," she said. Kody is sad, but where was her sadness? Where was any sign that she saw Garrison as part of her family? And then there's the kids. Solomon and Ariella are young. We can understand them being more protected. But Aurora and Brianna, they grew up with Garrison. They spent holidays with him, shared birthdays, family trips, and yet in the episodes meant to honor his life, their presence was barely felt. No tears, no words, just silence meanwhile. The other siblings, Savannah, Maddie, Gabe, they were raw and vulnerable, showing the kind of pain that only comes when someone truly mattered to you. What's even harder to ignore is how Kody seems utterly absorbed in Robyn's world. She doesn't need to shout to control him, she whispers, pulls back, plays the role of the long-suffering wife. And Kody follows, the more. Robyn cried about feeling unsafe, the more Kody pushed away his other kids one by one, isolated, dismissed, until all that was left was Robyn. Her 4 kids and a man who used to be a father to many, now clinging to the one relationship where he's always right. And this isn't just sad. It's infuriating because in a moment when the family needed unity, Robyn stayed in her bubble. She didn't extend her heart. She didn't show up in any meaningful way. And that silence spoke louder than any tear she's ever cried on camera. And here's where things start to feel even more twisted, because it's not just Kody and Robyn creating this damaged TLC. The very network that built this family's public platform is absolutely complicit. They've watched the decline unfold in real time. They've seen the public outcry, the comment sections flooded with frustration, and still they keep giving Kody and Robyn the spotlight, like they're the stars of a redemption arc that's never coming. Think about it in the most heartbreaking episodes, like the ones after Garrison's passing who got the most screen time. Was it Janelle at the Humane Society, crying as she remembered her son's gentle heart? Was it the quiet resilience of Savannah still standing beside her mom, despite everything? We barely got those moments before the camera snapped back to Kody in Wyoming, rambling on about childhood memories and signs, literal signs that no one watching cared about. And that wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. The editors cut a beautiful raw scene at the Humane Society in half, just to show more of Kody's self-focused narrative. Meanwhile, Robyn and her kids were shown wandering around like they were on vacation, laughing, sightseeing, having fun, while the rest of the family was grieving. How tone-deaf can you be? And TLC aired that. They chose to keep that in. At this point, viewers are fed up. You see it everywhere. People fast-forwarding through every Kody and Robyn scene, skipping entire episodes, even vowing to stop watching. Altogether, fans aren't stupid. They see through the editing tricks. They know when something's being manufactured to protect the wrong people. And honestly, watching the network prioritize screen time for the most disconnected, emotionally unavailable people in this family, it's insulting. People didn't sign up to watch a one-sided story where accountability gets buried under pity. Party monologues. They wanted real family, real healing, and TLC keeps giving us 2 people playing house in a narrative that's already burned down in the midst of all this dysfunction. There are 2 women who truly stand out. Janelle and Christine have consistently proven themselves to be the emotional backbone of this family, while Kody and Robyn are playing the victim and basking in their drama. Janelle and Christine are quietly doing the hard work of keeping their kids grounded, supporting each other and navigating their own emotional storms without falling apart. And if there's anything that speaks volumes about their strength, it's their kids. Let's start with Janelle. I don't think she gets enough credit for being the calm, steady force in this family. Think about the scene at the Humane Society after Garrison's death. That moment hit hard. Janelle holding back tears as she spoke about the emotional impact of losing her son was one of the few real, raw moments we got to see in this whole mess while Kody was off doing God knows what. In Wyoming, Janelle was grieving in real time. You could feel the weight of her loss in her eyes, but you could also see her strength. This wasn't someone who needed a spotlight to process her grief. Janelle just carried on as she always has, trying to stay strong for her other kids, for her family. She didn't ask for pity. She just handled it with grace. Then there's Christine, who's been nothing short of a revelation, watching her grow, not just as a person, but as a mother, has been nothing short of inspiring. She went from being that quiet, somewhat passive partner in the family to a fierce advocate for herself and her children. And let's be real. Christine's breakdown when she finally left Kody was one of the most powerful moments in Sister Wives history. That wasn't just a divorce announcement, it was Christine reclaiming her life, her autonomy, and putting an end to the emotional neglect she'd endured for far too long. You could see it in her face. That was the face of someone who had been battered emotionally for years, but finally found the strength to break free. And it wasn't just for her, it was for her kids too. Christine's kids, like Peyton and McKeely, reflect that same strength. They're emotionally intelligent, they're self-aware, and they know their worth. Take Maddie's interview, for example. She spoke so candidly about how she and her siblings are feeling, how they're not going to stand around waiting for Kody's emotional availability. They've learned to move forward with or without him. They know that their mother did the best she could, and they admire her for it. That's the kind of emotional maturity Kody never gave them, while Kody hides from his emotions and shirks responsibility. Christine and Janelle have carried this family on their backs. They've given their kids the stability and love that Kody couldn't. In the chaos of this family dynamic, these women have been the ones to teach their children how to process grief, how to cope with difficult circumstances, and most importantly, how to stand up for themselves when they need to. Kody may be the father of the family, but Janelle and Christine are the ones who are truly raising the next generation. This didn't have to be their story. None of it. If Kody Brown had the emotional maturity to put his family before his ego, if he had taken the time to truly connect with his kids and wives, maybe things could have turned out differently. Maybe the children wouldn't have had to suffer through his dismissiveness, his emotional neglect, and his self-centered actions. Maybe his wives wouldn't have felt abandoned, used, and ultimately pushed to their limits. But instead, Kody's immaturity broke more than just marriages. It fractured relationships, trust, and the very core of what family is supposed to mean as the fallout continues to unfold. It's hard not to wonder how much longer TLC is going to prop up Kody and Robyn. This isn't the first time they've been given center stage while everyone else has been left to deal with the consequences of their behavior. And let's be real. If this is the next chapter TLC wants to write, they better start listening to the real heart of the story. It's the women, like Christine Janelle, and the kids who have been carrying this show, carrying the emotional weight that Kody never could if TLC truly wants to keep telling their story. They need to shift the focus from Kody's melodrama to the people who are actually fighting for their emotional well-being. Now, I want to know what you think. Do you think Kody can ever change? Will the family ever heal? Or is this the inevitable end of what was once a unique and groundbreaking family structure? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get this conversation going, because at the end of the day, it's time for a new chapter. One that doesn't just revolve around the drama and dysfunction, but focuses on healing growth and the people who have been quietly, yet powerfully carrying this story forward. Let me know your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button for more. And don't forget to like and share. We're just getting started. Thanks for watching.